بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. So we'll begin with our discourse and our session today for Seerat-e-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. In the previous session, we discussed the raza'at of Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, who breastfed him, how many women, and we also discussed the Shaqq Sadr event as well in great detail. Inshallah, we'll begin today just one of the things that went missing that we did not cover yesterday was when was the Muhr Nabuwat instilled or ingrained on Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. There are many aqwals regarding it. One of the aqwal is that Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam was born with the Muhr Nabuwat. He was born in that state. The other qawl is that at the time of Shaqq Sadr, there was also another Muhr Nabuwat that was given. But if you were to look at both riwayats, basically the tatbiq can be made that the first one is the Raji qawl, that Prophet ﷺ was born with the Muhr Nabuwat. The stamp and the seal of the Nabuwat was already there. However, at the time of Shaqq Sadr, obviously this same Muhr was, revived, or so to say, emphasized more in that regard. So the Malaika did put another Muhr on top of that Muhr. So that's what the tatbiq that has been presented over here. As I mentioned, that Halima Sadiya radiallahu anha, she became really afraid that somebody might harm him. So she brought him back to Hazrat Amina, and she told her the whole incident as to what happened. And Hazrat Amina was very, very content because she saw certain signs and she knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect this boy. Hazrat Amina took the son in, and as she took him in, she stayed there for a few days, and then she decided she wants to go to Medina, her parents' house. So she went there. At that time, Prophet ﷺ was only 6 years old, and Ayman was accompanying her, and she was with her this whole time. She stayed there for 1 month, and on her way back, she passed away. And Hazrat Amina passed away at that time, and she was buried there as well. Hence, Prophet ﷺ now stayed there again in Medina for some time. And after that, Ayman continued the journey and brought him to Hazrat Abdul Muttalib. And obviously, he stayed in the company of his grandfather. When he stayed in his company, obviously, Masjid al-Haram, obviously because he was the Sardar, he was the leader, Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, hence he would make special arrangements for Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a miracle as well, there will be great shadow that will cast on Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam as a means of protection. And Hazrat Abdul Muttalib would take special care for Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, would make special arrangement for Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Whenever he would come, there will be a sort of a higher ground would be set for Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, meaning some sort of a bedding or some sort of stage or something that will be put specially for Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam will sit there. Not even the sons of Abdul Muttalib were allowed to sit on that thing, except Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. He would come in, and it was dedicated for Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Once his uncle tried to move him, but Hazrat Abdul Muttalib said, "Leave my son alone, as he is special, and he will do something special in the upcoming days." And he would sit there And obviously people would wonder who this person is, and they would see this person doing a lot of tawaf, which was Prophet ﷺ. One time Hazrat Abdul Muttalib lost one of his camels, and he sent Prophet ﷺ, because the speciality of Prophet ﷺ was every time he would go for something, any task that was given to him, he would come back, he would return back with, by not only just completing the task, but also, accomplishing much more than what was given to him. So obviously he was known for that. So Hazrat Abdul Muttalib sent him there to find the camel, and obviously he was looking around, but he couldn't find him, and then he got really worried. So he started, making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as soon as he made the dua, he saw Prophet ﷺ return along with the camel. And hence, Prophet ﷺ, when he saw Prophet ﷺ, he basically got extremely happy, and he embraced him, and he was worried about him. He stayed there for 2 years with Abdul Muttalib, and at the age of 8, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that his grandfather was to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hence he passed away. Now, there are many narrations about Abdul Muttalib's age. Some say he was 85, some say he was 95, some say he was 110, and some say he was 120 years old. Many riwayats are there. Then, at the time of his death, on his deathbed, Abdul Muttalib made wasiyat, or he basically commanded his son Abu Talib, because Abu Talib was the actual brother, the real brother, not the half brother, because some of his other sons were half brothers of Abdul Muttalib, meaning the mothers were different and the father was the same. Abu Talib was given the guardianship of Prophet ﷺ, and Abdul Muttalib made us wasiyat that you should take good care of this son of mine. He is under your responsibility. Hence, at the age of 8, he came into the guardianship of Abdul Muttalib until Hazrat Abdul Muttalib passed away. Ayman narrates that Prophet ﷺ was crying while he was escorting the janazah of Abdul Muttalib, because obviously it was a father-like thing, because the grandfather usually is in the place of father when the father is not around. So therefore, obviously for him, he was a yatim. From the get-go, he did not see the company of his own father, and this grandfather is taking special care of him. Obviously, one can imagine how difficult it is for Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam to go through this devastation, this grief. And someone asked him after some long time, said, "Do you remember Abdul Muttalib?" He said, "Definitely, I do remember. I was 8 years of age, so I do remember him very, very well." And then he comes into the guardianship of Abu Talib, his uncle, and Abu Talib fulfilled the wishes of his father Abdul Muttalib and took really good care of Prophet ﷺ. He would have given preference over his own kids and over his own children. And he helped him throughout his life till the end of times. Till the end he passed away. The unfortunate thing was, despite of his company and his companionship, he was deprived of the status of being a Sahabi of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was not blessed with the ni'mat of Islam. That was the unfortunate part. His death and all of his things will come along in the next chapter, so I'm not going to emphasize as to what happened and what not. And Abu Talib used to really take him to different places with him along with that. One incident at one time, there was a drought in Mecca, and the Quraysh and all the people came to Abu Talib and said, make dua to Allah Ta'ala or to the Almighty, and hopefully he can send down rain. Abu Talib took Prophet ﷺ because he knew that there was something special about this child or this nephew of his. So he took him and he rubbed him against the wall of the Kaaba, and then he started making dua, and everybody started making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was no chance of rain. It was so dry, there was no chance of rain. But the moment they started making dua, and then the mercy of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turns to our Prophet ﷺ, and it started raining so much that everything became filled with water, and the drought came to an end. Now, Prophet ﷺ is going with his uncle for the first business, basically official business trip that Abu Talib used to make from back and forth from time to time. However, he was 12 years of age, and Abu Talib did not wish to harm him, did not wish any inconvenience come to him. So he initially said no to him. But because he was so attached to Prophet ﷺ, and Prophet ﷺ was so attached to his uncle, that when he saw him, he had this grief on his face. He was really sad. So Abu Talib ended up taking him with him to the Syrian land. In that Syrian land, there was a great Christian pastor, priest, or rahib, as you want to call it. His name was Bahira. And he was very well known over there, and he knew the entire Injil, and he knew the signs of the last prophet that has to come. Usually, the Meccans and the Quraysh and the Arabs used to go to Syria back and forth a lot. He never would come out, and the priest would be busy in his own worship, and he would not be bothered that if the tribes are coming in back and forth for businesses or not. However, this time, there was something different happened. Bahira came out of his, place of worship or wherever he used to live, and he came out and he came to these Arab, businessmen, or these people who came, this delegation that came for business purposes. And he started asking around, where are they? And he started basically following them. So when he came to them, he started saying to them, there's something unusual about you guys today. There's something different. And the Quraysh asked him, what do you mean by that? So he said that when you were coming, as your delegation was coming down towards this land, I saw something miraculous with my own two eyes. And I saw trees, and I saw rocks, and I saw mountains prostrating towards you guys. So there must be someone, and usually this happens only for a true Nabi. So there must be a true Nabi around you. The Quraysh were like, what are you talking about? We have nobody here that is a Nabi here. He said, no, I have seen the signs, and these are the same signs that have been mentioned about the last prophet that will come. So therefore there must be somebody with you, accompanying you. So they said that we have these people with us and this boy. He looked at the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he realized immediately, he saw that nur, and he saw everything, that all the signs that were pointing that he was a true prophet. He said, this is a true prophet. The Quraysh asked him furthermore as to what other signs are there. He said he should have a muhr of Nabuwat instilled to him. Obviously, Bahira now realized how auspicious this is, so he basically invited them over for dinner and lunch, and he basically hosted them. And he was, at that time, Prophet ﷺ took his camels, and he was grizzling those camels, and he was, went for, for the grazing and everything. Once Bahira asked, where is Prophet ﷺ? He said he went for grazing of the animals. He said, bring him back. And he called him back, and he sat next to him, and he stayed with him. As soon as the lunch or dinner was over, everybody took a shade under a tree. There was no shade left, and Bahira is seeing everything, and he sees as soon as Prophet ﷺ goes, as he tries to sit somewhere, the tree turns around and basically gives shade to Prophet ﷺ, and he realizes that that is a sign of a true prophet, and he is a true prophet. He advises them not to go towards the Roman Empire, as the Romans are looking for him, as the Romans know, because Romans were Christians, and they knew that they will be looking for these people, and they'll harm him, and they'll try to assassinate him. Little that he knew, that he realized that some of the Romans are in Syria, and they are looking for something. So he immediately went to them, and he said to them, there were about 7 people, and he said to them, look, what are you here for? He said, we are looking for this new prophet that is supposed to come, and we know the signs of this prophet, and he's going to come towards this land, and we know this, and therefore we are here to assassinate him, to kill him. He says, look, you are the people of the book, you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can you divert the decision of the Almighty by trying to attempt to assassinate? You cannot change the decree of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when Allah ta'ala is there to protect him. So therefore the Romans realized that yes, the qudrat of Allah ta'ala is infinite, and therefore if Allah ta'ala wills, we will not be able to harm him. Hence they cancelled their decision and they stayed there. However, Bahira was not comfortable in them being there and Prophet ﷺ being there. So he asked the Quraysh, who is your mutawalli? Who is the one who's leading this delegation? And who is the one who's looking after this kid, this child, this young boy? Prophet ﷺ. The Quraysh said, Abu Talib, he told Abu Talib, look, you need to take this, you need to send him back, and therefore send him back for his own good, for his own protection. I may not know what these people would do. Hence, Abu Talib sends Prophet ﷺ back to Makkah Mukarramah so that he may be protected and these Romans cannot harm him. There are many riwayats about who was with him. Some riwayat says it was Abu Bakr and Bilal radiallahu anhu, and some riwayat says no, it's just the Rawi's Waham. However, that's not really the wazifa of ours. We are discussing history. Obviously the relations could be different and there could be ihtamalat of the Rawi as well. We're not going to go discuss into that. Once Prophet ﷺ made it back, after some time, there was a war that broke out because Arabs and Quraysh used to do a lot of wars. That was the means of overpowering someone, taking away their wealth, and means of an economy as well. So these tribes would be fighting with one another, right? And once they were fighting, there was a maraka between Quraysh and Qabila Qais, which was known as Harb al-Fujjar, and they fought. Initially, Qais came over Quraysh. However, Quraysh took over at the end, and basically, they were able to defeat them. At the end, there was a sulha, a treaty was signed between them as a peace treaty, and hence Prophet ﷺ was also present in that war, in that battle. However, he did not take part as a means of active soldier or as a means of active, combatant that he was fighting. He was just there for the purpose, for the means of his uncles, because asked him to come, so he was just there for that purpose. Then he was at that time, he was about 14 or 15 years of age. Then there was a treaty that was signed amongst the many tribes of the Quraysh, which was known as Half-e Fuzul, because they were fighting back and forth, and they realized, it's of no good, we need to end this. And Fazl ibn Fazala and Fazl ibn Wada'a and Fuzail ibn Haris, they all initially signed a treaty. So hence the Quraysh realized that this is something that we need to do and revive it back. This is one of the reasons why it's known as Half-e Fuzul, not the Fuzul that we think of in Urdu language, meaning, or even in Arabic language there's a word Fuzuli. Does not mean that it was something of useless. Fuzul basically means the jama of many fazls got together, and basically that's why it's known as Half-e Fuzul, because there was Fazl ibn Fazala, Fazl ibn Wada'a, Fuzail ibn Haris. So all these fazls are one as signing the treaty, hence that's why it's known as Half-e Fuzul. And they made a pact and made a treaty that they will not break any warfare, and bring each other harm. So therefore this treaty was signed, and they were basically benefiting one another. Initially this treaty was between Banu Hashim, Banu Tamim, that was signed with Abdullah bin Majdan's house. Abdullah bin Majdan was the cousin of Aisha radiallahu anha. She asked Prophet ﷺ that Abdullah ibn Jad'an, I apologize, Abdullah ibn Jad'an. Abdullah ibn Jad'an was extremely, hospitable, and he used to do a lot of hospitality for people. Do you think it will benefit him? He says no, it will not benefit him, because obviously there is no iman, and without iman nothing can benefit you in the hereafter. Hence the treaty was signed, and this was again something that Prophet ﷺ initiated, and something Prophet ﷺ looked after. This was the nature of Prophet ﷺ, and Prophet ﷺ once mentioned that if I was to be invited again for treaties like this, making peace treaties, I'll definitely participate even after the advent of Islam. We'll conclude this session today, inshallah, at this, because the next session is going to be about Prophet ﷺ conducting business on his own, doing businesses, and taking care of goats and sheep and becoming a shepherd for hire. And obviously then it will go towards his marriage towards Khadija radiallahu anha, and Khadija radiallahu anha initially keeping him as for businesses, and then realize his sadaqat, his amanat, and good character, and the nobility of Prophet ﷺ. Obviously that is something we'll begin with. So inshallah we'll conclude on this session on this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to what has been said, to understand what has been said. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us utmost love for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and understand the seerah in its context. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive any shortcomings. Subhanallahi wa bihamdi, subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.